Let's dig in further into this convention. I'm joined now by two former White House staffers to do just that. Bruen served as Director of Global Engagement at the White House under President Obama. He's now the president of the Global Situation Room and joins us from Alexandria, Virginia. And Bill McGinley served as Assistant to the President and Cabinet Secretary in the White House under President Trump. He's now a principal at the Vogel Group in Washington, and that's where he is this evening. Hello to both of you. Great to see you.
Great. Thanks for having us.
I appreciate you making the time. Brett, I'll start with you, and I'll jump off something my colleague Katie was talking about, and that is the focus of the speeches we've heard so far and what we know of some of the excerpts from the speeches tonight. A lot of focus on an effort to contrast Democrats with President Trump. Do you think that is going to be a successful strategy for Democrats coming out of this convention?
I do, because, let's just take from the start that Donald Trump is what dominates American politics right now, whether you like him or you dislike him. And I think making this a referendum on Donald Trump's handling of the coronavirus, the economic collapse that has come with it, along with all of the racial issues, the immigration issues, just the division that we find in our country now, this is a front burner issue for most Americans. James Carville, the famous Democratic political consultant, said, it's the economy, stupid. I think now we can say it's Donald Trump, stupid.
Bill, I want to get your take on the same subject. First of all, would you agree with the assessment that the Democrats are very much trying to establish a contrast and focused on that in this convention? And secondly, if they are, do you think that is a roadmap to success for them, or are there inherent risks there?
But I think just like in 2016, they're misunderstanding the American electorate. The polls were wrong in 2016. I think the president and the campaign have a lot of work to do. But if you wanted to put together a get out the vote message for Republicans across the country, you would line up the speakers that the Democratic convention has lined up for this evening. Senator Warren, Speaker Pelosi, a lot of these speakers are some of the people and the policies that they're promoting are the reasons why Republicans get energized, not only to support this president, but also to support the down ticket Republicans that are running for Congress and the Senate. And so while they may be trying to draw a contrast with President Trump and make this a referendum on him, by putting this type of lineup together, they're going to make it a choice. And when it's a choice, the president has a very good shot at being reelected.
That's an interesting point. Brett, do you agree with that characterization? And I would say that it's not just Elizabeth Warren, let's say, or Speaker Pelosi tonight. There's Barack Obama, there's Hillary Clinton, but that constant, I guess, framing of the more progressive side of the party versus the more centrist part of the party, and what about the risks inherent to that? Brett, your thoughts on that?
What's interesting? When you tune into the Democratic convention, you hear normalcy. You hear people speaking about ideas and embracing those across the aisle. How many Republicans have we seen speak at the Democratic National Convention this week? So I would say all of the people that my co-panelists just named off are the ones who are familiar to Americans. They hearken back to a simpler, a saner time in American politics. And I think that's what most Americans want now.
Bill, what do you think about that?
I'm going to respectfully disagree. I am going to say that from the Republican side, from the centrist side, the conservative centrists, they're not going to like the government takeover of industries. They're not going to like some of the proposals that the Democrats have been putting forward prior to the convention. One thing we need to note about this convention is that the Democrats are focusing a lot on personality and are extremely light on policy. Let's not forget that Joe Biden didn't really earn the nomination with the Democrats. When he was going into South Carolina, Representative Jim Clyburn, who I have tremendous respect for, a terrific legislator for the constituents he served, but a very powerful man in the Democratic Party, handed the nomination to Joe Biden. And as a result of that, the former vice president has had to sit down and actually negotiate with his former rival, Senator Bernie Sanders, and his supporters, AOC, the Congresswoman from New York. And if you notice, they're not coming out and saying the policies that they would pursue if they had the good fortune of being elected in January, because I think they understand that if they actually come out and get specific about the policies they would pursue, it's going to turn off a lot of the central and independent voters that they need to try and capture the White House in November.
That's an interesting point, Brett. I'm wondering if you agree with the assessment that the campaign thus far, and I want to say thus far, but has been, or at least what we've heard this week, has been lighter on policy and heavier on personality. And if that is true, what's the strategy behind that?
You know, it's interesting, speaking about a lack of specificity in what you would do with the next 4 years, Donald Trump has really struggled as to why he should be reelected and does not seem to have a coherent agenda or plan. Now, that's fairly consistent with what we have seen in recent months with his handling of a lot of these crises. And, you know, Trump prefers just to engage in the politics of division and labeling. You know, as my co-panelist again, prefers to just slap labels on people rather than engaging in a debate about ideas. And I think what the Democratic Party is showing right now is that they can come together, that they can be the party of Biden. They can also be the party of Bernie Sanders. And that is a demonstration of unity. It's a demonstration of inclusivity that I think the Republicans, and certainly under Donald Trump, are struggling to expand much beyond this very small and increasingly smaller base of support.
Just let me follow up quick, because my question was more about the Democrats. I take your point on all of that, but there hasn't been a lot of policy yet. And I'm just wondering if you think that's still to come or if that's purposeful in their strategy.
Oh, I don't think so. You can go on to joebiden.com, you can read the policy proposals, and then you can contrast them with what Trump and the Trump campaign are putting out there. So there are very specific proposals when it comes to climate change and education and immigration. There are not, unfortunately, similar proposals. All we're going to get are more tweets and tariffs and then tweeting about tariffs. And from a Canadian perspective, I think, you know, we all understand that lack of a strategy has real consequences.
Bill, final word to you. You know, your colleague Brett there, or co-panelist Brett, certainly has a point around maybe a lack of specificity from the Trump campaign, just like you have a point about some of the lack of policy, at least put forth during this convention from the Democrats. Do you think that is a purposeful strategy on the part of the Republicans?
You know, it's funny. I think one of the reasons that President Trump actually prevailed in 2016 is because he went out and told the American people exactly what he was going to do. And if you look at a lot of the policies that the Democrats have complained about coming out of this administration are the ones that President Trump put before the American people in 2016. He's completed some of them, and he has a lot of work to do. And I think that as the campaign goes on, the president and the campaign and the Republican National Committee will be getting specific about those policies and the work that has yet to be done. You know, this is a very challenging environment. The pandemic and a lot of the other issues that are facing America right now have really kind of put this campaign on both sides into territory that we really haven't seen before. And I think that it's ironic that viewership at a time when social distancing and families are staying at home is actually down for the Democratic convention as compared to 2016, when during the summertime people were on vacation and very, very active. And so I think it's going to be an interesting thing to watch as we go forward in this campaign, the interest that people are going to show, but also how they're going to explore the policy positions of these candidates. And I think that if you want results like the USMCA, if you want PPP to help support small businesses, if you want the Main Street lending program to try and prop up and help mid-sized companies not only preserve their workforce, but come out of the pandemic in a stronger position, then I think you're going to want to take a good look at President Trump, because that's the type of leadership that he's going to provide, both in terms of the virus and the economy.
Well, what I
gather,
I think, you know. Yeah, sorry, pardon me. I thought you were finished. My apologies.
No, please go ahead.
No, you go ahead. It's okay.
No, I was just going to say, you know, those are some of the central issues surrounding this election. And I think as this goes on, you know, we've got a Congress right now that is deadlocked on whether they can do another stimulus program regarding pandemic relief, both the businesses, states, schools, and other actors in American society that are supporting people and to American families in particular. And I think that as this goes on and we come out of the conventions, I think everybody's hope is that in September, cooler heads can prevail. We can get this stimulus package done. And the most important events that we're going to have this fall are going to be the presidential debates, where the two presidential candidates are going to stand side by side, and they're going to lay out their vision for America. And everybody's going to be able to compare and contrast not only the policy personality, but also the strength of each of the men that are running for the highest office in the land.
Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.